Momentum builds for a stiffer response to alleged atrocities committed by Russia in Bucha. Biden calls for a war crimes trial, while European Commission to probe possible war crimes in Ukraine. Russia dismisses allegations as stage-managed anti-Russian provocation. Zelensky to address the UN Security Council today. In Sri Lanka, the largest opposition party rejects the invitation from the president to form a unity government as protests continue amid the worsening economic crisis. 4 ministers appointed after 26 ministers resign en masse to ensure parliament and other tasks can be conducted in a lawful manner. Sri Lanka's central bank postpones its monetary policy review. Pakistan Supreme Court to resume its hearing in the political crisis case. PTI leader Imran Khan to hold a meeting of the party's parliamentary board. Pakistan's NSA resigns amid the ongoing crisis. On his Netherlands visit, President Ramnath Kovind received at the Keukenhof by the host Foreign Minister and Deputy Prime Minister Wopke Hoekstra. The President speaks about the multifaceted partnership between the two countries and the vibrant people-to-people connect. Back home, important businesses lined up in the Parliament today. In Lok Sabha, Dr. Jaishankar to introduce a bill to amend the Weapons of Mass Destruction and Their Delivery Systems Act of 2005, while in Rajya Sabha, Amit Shah to move a bill to further amend the Delhi Municipal Corporation Act of 1957. In sports, Indian women's hockey team to square off against Malaysia in their last Pool D match of the FIH Women's Junior World Cup at Potchefstroom in South Africa today. India is currently atop Pool D with 2 wins from as many games ahead of the second-place Germany. Quarterfinals round to start from Friday. And in IPL, the Lucknow Super Giants beat Sunrisers Hyderabad by 12 runs at the D.Y. Patil Stadium in Navi Mumbai. Rajasthan Royals to lock horns with Royal Challengers Bangalore at the Wankhede Stadium in Mumbai tonight. Good morning and welcome to this broadcast. I'm Shreya Upadhyay. Our top story first. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has said on Monday that the deaths of Ukrainians in Bucha constituted genocide by Russian troops. Zelensky spoke with journalists from the town of Bucha in the Kyiv region, where tied bodies shot at close range, a mass grave and other signs of executions have been found in territory retaken from Russian troops. Moscow has denied any accusations related to the killing of civilians in Bucha. Bucha's deputy mayor said on Sunday that 50 residents had been victims of extrajudicial killings carried out by Russian troops.
These are war crimes and they will be recognized by the world as genocide. You are here today and can see what happened. We know of thousands of people killed and tortured, with severed limbs, raped women, murdered children. I think it is more than. This is a genocide.
Meanwhile, Zelensky will address the UN Security Council today and is expected to report what he witnessed in Bucha, his first trip outside the capital since the start of the attack by Russia. Ukrainian Foreign Minister, meanwhile, Dmytro Kuleba has said on Monday that the evidence of the civilian killings from the town of Bucha are just the tip of the iceberg and show the need for tougher sanctions on Moscow. Ukrainian authorities said on Sunday that they were investigating possible war crimes by Russia after images from Bucha showed the bodies of civilians lying on the ground and makeshift graves. Orban has condemned the Russian attacks and has not vetoed any European Union sanctions against Moscow, even though he said he did not agree with them.
What you've seen, the horrors that we've seen in Bucha are just a tip of the iceberg of all the crimes that have been committed by Russian army in the territory of Ukraine so far. And I can tell you without an exaggeration, but with great sorrow, that the situation in Mariupol is much worse. compared to what we've seen in Bucha and other cities, towns and villages nearby Kiev.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky visited towns near Kyiv and surveyed the devastation caused by the military conflict in the country, as per a video released by the Ukrainian Presidential Press Service on Monday. The footage showed destroyed bridges and roads in Irpin, while the roads of Bucha were littered with burned-out military vehicles. In nearby Stoyanka, about 15 kilometers south of Bucha, Zelensky surveyed the damage to a motorway bridge, which was almost split into two. One car stood abandoned, bullet holes peppering its bodywork and windscreen. A nearby housing estate was flattened and advertising hoardings were scarred with bullet holes. Moscow, meanwhile, has denied any accusations related to the killing of civilians in Bucha. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky reiterated his call from his Western allies to work together against Russia. Addressing the Romanian parliament, the Ukrainian president said that Russians intend to occupy Odessa and they have one more step to Moldova. He added that Moldova is another target.
Together we have to stop those people who got used to not being punished. We have to do this together. Everyone should understand the danger. Ukraine is not the last target of the Russian aggression. The Russians intend to occupy Odessa and they have one more step to Moldova. The propagandists say that Moldova is another target. That is why we need to defend Moldova's independence. The future of the Central Europe is decided now on the Ukrainian territory. This is why defending Ukraine means defending Europe's security.
Meanwhile, Russia will present factual evidence to the United Nations Security Council that its forces have not been killing civilians in Ukraine and were not involved in events in Bucha.
Have factual evidence that proves this point. We intend to present it to Security Council as soon as possible, so that the international community is not misled by the false narrative promoted by Kiev and its Western sponsors. Anyway, let's see what happens tomorrow. Tomorrow you will hear more from us. I promise that I'll be more factual, even more factual than today.
The European Union will significantly tighten its sanctions against Russia, as per German Foreign Minister Annalena Baerbock on Monday. Germany said on Sunday that the West would agree to impose more sanctions on Russia in the coming days after Ukraine accused the Russian forces of war crimes near Kyiv, ratcheting up the already vast economic pressure on Russia over its attack. Russia's economy is facing the gravest crisis since the 1991 collapse of the Soviet Union, after the United States and its allies imposed crippling sanctions due to Putin's 24th February attack on Ukraine. Russia on Sunday denied its forces were responsible for the deaths of civilians in the town of Bucha near capital Kyiv and said that Ukraine had staged a performance for the Western media.
As the European Union, we will again significantly tighten our sanctions. Germany has made a series of proposals on this in Brussels. The images of the past weekend have once again highlighted a new, brutal dimension of this war, with the most serious war crimes and crimes against humanity. And that is why I made it clear over the weekend that we must not only close the remaining loopholes in this sanction system, but that we must also intensively and rigorously implement this package. A package of sanctions alone will not be enough, and that is why I have just mentioned the 3 points that are important from my point of view. Namely, in addition to sanctions, the investigation by the International Criminal Court. These crimes must be prosecuted and then judged accordingly. And with regard to Ukraine's self-defense, as I said, we will now also examine things that we have not examined so far.
Meanwhile, British Foreign Secretary Liz Truss said on Monday it is very clear that war crimes have been committed by Russian military forces against civilians in Ukraine. The city's deputy mayor said that 50 dead residents had been victims of extrajudicial killings carried out by Russian troops. The Kremlin categorically denied any accusations related to the murder of the civilians. Reuters could not independently verify the number of dead or who was responsible. Truss said the UK was taking the maximum approach when it came to sanctions against Russia. As far as we are concerned, she said, nothing is off the table. She said foreign ministers of the G7 and the NATO would meet later in the week and a fresh round of sanctions against Russia should be announced.
We're all appalled by the scenes in Bucha, the butchery, the clear evidence of sexual crime, of the targeting of innocent civilians, and it's very clear that war crimes have taken place. And we have been working with the ICC, we're putting funding in, we've got the Metropolitan Police investigating those war crimes so the perpetrators can be brought to justice. Now, as to the question of genocide, that is a matter for the courts to determine, but what I want to be very clear about is the UK is taking the maximum approach. We're taking the maximum approach on sanctions. As far as we're concerned, nothing is off the table.
Now, Moscow will respond to France's decision to expel Russian diplomats, Interfax news agency reported on Monday, citing the Russian Foreign Ministry. France has decided to expel many Russian diplomatic staff. The French Ministry of Foreign Affairs stated this on Monday. Germany too decided on Monday to declare undesirable a significant number of officials at the Russian embassy. That's what Foreign Minister Annalena Baerbock said, adding that Berlin would also boost its support to Ukraine's armed forces. Now, earlier, all 26 ministers, aside from President Gotabaya Rajapaksa and his elder brother, Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa, stepped down on Monday amid the worsening economic crisis in Sri Lanka. Following the resignation, 4 ministers were appointed to ensure that Parliament and other tasks can be conducted in a lawful manner until a full cabinet can be sworn in. Meanwhile, President Rajapaksa's former attorney and the country's ex-justice minister, Ali Sabri, was sworn in as the new finance minister on Monday. He replaced Gotabaya's brother, Basil Rajapaksa, who was due to visit Washington this month for talks with the International Monetary Fund for a loan program. The debt-laden country, run by Rajapaksa and several members of his family since 2019, is struggling to pay for imports of fuel and other goods due to a scarcity of foreign exchange, leading to hours-long power cuts and a shortage of essentials. Now, moving on with other news, the governor of Sri Lanka's central bank said he has submitted his resignation as the country faces its worst economic crisis in decades. Ajit Nivard Cabral's announcement came after all of the country's cabinet ministers resigned. Angry protesters have also been calling for the country's prime minister and the president to step down. A severe shortage of foreign currency has left the government unable to pay for essential imports, including fuel. The island nation of some 22 million people is suffering from its most serious economic crisis since independence from the UK in 1948. The central bank was due to make an interest rate decision today but postponed the announcement late on Monday without giving a new date for the event. And news from Pakistan. The Pakistani Supreme Court is expected to decide the fate of the embattled Prime Minister Imran Khan today, following a day of political turmoil. Imran Khan has faced an attempt to oust him from office in recent days, but members of his party yesterday blocked a vote of no confidence in the PM and dissolved the parliament. Furious opposition politicians filed a petition to the Supreme Court to rule on whether the move to block the vote was constitutional. Experts say if Imran Khan gets a favourable ruling, elections will take place in 90 days, and if the court rules against the Deputy Speaker, the Parliament will reconvene and hold the no-confidence vote against Imran Khan. Besides this, Imran Khan will hold a meeting of his party's PTI parliamentary board. Also, Pakistan's NSA has resigned amid the ongoing crisis.
The political deadlock in Pakistan continues. The opposition was confident that it would get a relief from the Supreme Court after it took suo motu cognizance of the Deputy Speaker's decision on the no-confidence motion. However, the top court adjourned the hearing till Tuesday. A 5-member bench headed by Chief Justice is hearing the plea against the ruling of the Deputy Speaker. The court said that whatever happened in Parliament needs to be reviewed. During the arguments, the Chief Justice rejected the opposition's plea for a full bench. Chief Justice of Pakistan said reasonable order will be issued on legality of current political situation.
The Supreme Court now has to see whether the no confidence motion on the 8th of March and the letter on the 7th of March are in any manner connected. If they are connected, if the opposition parties are acting on the behest of a foreign power, they would all suffer treason and sedition cases within Pakistan. However, if Imran Khan, the Prime Minister of Pakistan, is unable to prove that there was a foreign entity that was directly influencing the opposition to filing the no confidence motion, then Imran Khan himself would be suffering a case of treason and possible disqualification from the court.
As per a notification issued by President Arif Alvi, Imran Khan will continue to be the Prime Minister of Pakistan until the appointment of a caretaker Prime Minister. Meanwhile, Imran Khan's party, PTI, has proposed the name of former Pakistan judge Justice Gulzar Ahmed as the caretaker Prime Minister. Imran Khan also called for protests near the National Assembly against foreign plot to overthrow the government. Meanwhile, Pakistan Muslim League Nawaz PMLN leader Shahbaz Sharif has questioned Imran Khan's claim that there is a conspiracy against his government fueled by the US. Sharif said the no confidence motion was submitted on 8th March and the conspiracy theory was floated only on 24th March. Sharif also accused Imran Khan of imposing civil martial law in Pakistan. Imran Khan's party has called a meeting of the parliamentary board on Tuesday. Imran Khan said that only reliable people will be given tickets in this election. Earlier on Sunday, the parliament proceedings did not last even 10 minutes. The deputy speaker rejected the no confidence motion citing Article 5. He said that since the no confidence motion was moved by people involved in a conspiracy against the country, it was unconstitutional. Soon after, the president dissolved the National Assembly on the recommendation of Imran Khan. After the no confidence motion was rejected on Sunday, all the leaders of the opposition did a sit-in protest in the parliament. The matter then reached the Supreme Court. Newsnight Desk, DD India.
In other news, President Ramnath Kovind is on a 3-day tour of the Netherlands. President Kovind was received by the Dutch Foreign Minister and the Deputy Prime Minister, Wopke Hoekstra, at the Schiphol Airport in Amsterdam. The two countries have always shared common ideals of democracy, pluralism and the rule of law. Both the countries recognize the close convergence between each other's vision for a free, open and inclusive Indo-Pacific. The presidential visit to the Netherlands comes after 34 years since the visit of President Venkatraman in 1988. President Kovind later visited the Keukenhof Tulip Garden, where a new breed tulip was named Maitri by the First Lady of India, Mrs. Savita Kovind. This was to honor the 75 years of diplomatic relations between India and the Dutch state, along with Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav. President Ramnath Kovind spoke about the multifaceted partnership between the two countries and the vibrant people-to-people connect.
We are naming the tulip flower as Maitri, which in Sanskrit means friendship. I sincerely thank the government of the Netherlands for this unique gesture and also wish to appreciate the efforts of the breeders of this beautiful new tulip variant. It will inspire us to work towards strengthening bonds of friendship and ties between people of India and the Netherlands.
Democracy is like tulip. It is very beautiful but needs to be taken care of. That's what the Dutch Foreign Minister Wopke Hoekstra, who is also the Deputy Prime Minister of the Netherlands, has said. A special species of tulip has been named Maitri after the India and the Netherlands friendship on Monday during President Ramnath Kovind's visit. In an exclusive interview with our correspondent Vishal Baristo, the Dutch Deputy PM talks about his upcoming India visit and the relations between India and the Netherlands.
A special species of tulip has just been named Maitri after India, the Netherlands friendship, and I have with me the Foreign Minister. Minister, welcome on DD News. You've just said that tulip is like democracy. It is fragile, you have to take very care of it. So what does that mean?
We cherish the friendship we have with India. already for 75 years, this is a fantastic and to us extremely important relationship. We're very much looking forward to a bright future in our bilateral relationship, and we cherish to have such an important and close friend at the world stage. And I'm very much looking forward to coming to India again later this year myself as well.
As you just said, and we all know that Indian diaspora is the largest in the Netherlands when it comes to Europe. So what has been their contribution, if you could highlight on that?
They make a fantastic contribution to our society. They are very much involved in society. They're typically very much involved in business. And I feel proud, I feel privileged to have such a large contingency of Indians here. And it reminds me of the time when I studied. I did an MBA in INSEAD in Fontainebleau in France. And in my year, in 2005, the largest contingency in that business school was also made up of Indians. I made many close friends there. So I cherish also at a personal level the great friendship that I have with India and also with many Indian individuals.
So a flower has been named Maitri, which means friendship. So how special is that for India and the Netherlands? India is also celebrating its 75 years of independence.
To me, it is of tremendous importance. This is a relationship we very much value. We highly cherish, and we feel delighted and privileged that the President and the First Lady are with us today and the next couple of days to actually celebrate this 75 years of friendship.
One last question, about your upcoming visit to India.
I'm very much looking forward to meeting my colleague. He is held in the highest esteem. Minister Jaisankar, I hope I pronounce his name correctly. And he is very close to my heart, and he is an excellent sparring partner to discuss the issues of what is happening around the world, particularly in these challenging geopolitical times where peace and stability are at risk.
So there you heard the Foreign Minister of the Netherlands. He says that he very much looks forward to his upcoming visit, and definitely India and the Netherlands are going stronger and stronger in friendship. With cameraman Loknath in the Netherlands, this is Vishal Baristo for DD India.
Moving on, back home in Rajya Sabha, Union Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman will move the Chartered Accountants, the Cost and Works Accountants and the Company Secretaries Amendment Bill for consideration and passing. The bill aims to amend the Chartered Accountants Act of 1949, the Cost and Works Accountants Act 1959 and the Company Secretaries Act 1980 as passed by the Lok Sabha. While Union Home Minister Amit Shah will move the Delhi Municipal Corporation Amendment Bill for consideration and passing. This bill aims to amend the Delhi Municipal Corporation Act of 1957 as passed by the Lok Sabha. Besides, the Minister of Tribal Affairs Arjun Munda will move the Constitution Scheduled Tribes Order Amendment Bill for consideration and passing. The bill aims to amend the Constitution Scheduled Tribes Order of 1950 for inclusion of certain community in the list of the scheduled tribes in relation to the state of Tripura as passed by the Lok Sabha. A discussion on the working of the Ministry of Labour and Employment will also take place in the Parliament. In the Lok Sabha, Union External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar will introduce the Weapons of Mass Destruction and Their Delivery Systems Prohibition of Unlawful Activities Amendment Bill. Besides, a discussion on the situation in Ukraine under Rule 193 is also listed for today. Sports updates now. The Indian women's hockey team will face Malaysia in the last match of the pool stage of the FIH Women's Junior World Cup. The Indian team is currently at the top of Pool D with 2 wins from 2 matches, while Germany's team is second in the table. 2 teams each from each pool will qualify for the quarterfinals. Earlier, the Indian team has secured its place in the quarterfinals of the World Cup by defeating Germany 2-1 in the pool stage match played on Sunday. On to cricket now. Lucknow Super Giants on Monday beat Sunrisers Hyderabad by 12 runs to record the second consecutive win of their IPL maiden season. Electing to bat after losing the toss, Lucknow team scored 169 for the loss of 7 wickets in 20 overs. In reply, Hyderabad team could score only 157 in 20 overs, losing 9 wickets and lost the match. With this win, Lucknow has reached number 5 in the points table. At the same time, this is Hyderabad's second defeat in the second consecutive match. The team of Sunrisers Hyderabad is present at the last, that's the 10th number in the points table. And Rajasthan Royals will lock horns with Royal Challengers Bangalore in match 13 of the IPL at the Wankhede Stadium in Mumbai today. Both teams are coming off a win in their previous encounters and will be looking to continue the winning momentum. The Jaipur-based team has won both their games so far and are at the top of the points table with an excellent net run rate. Sanju Samson has led the side really well and the bowling department looks really formidable for them. On the other hand, the Royal Challengers Bangalore suffered a defeat in their first game against the Punjab Kings after not being able to defend 205 in 20 overs. However, they did bag a win in their next game against the Kolkata Knight Riders, but it wasn't in the most convincing way as they almost stuttered in a low-run chase. They will be looking for a clinical victory to inject a lot more confidence into their squad. Meanwhile, the side will be bolstered by the return of Glenn Maxwell. And with that, it's a wrap in this broadcast, but news and updates continue on DD India. Thank you for joining us right now. Namaskar.